Right now, Adams, he's currently muted out. He has a couple of things he needs to take care of, but we're going to go ahead and start off the show today. Waiting for a couple other people to join up. We're going to talk for roughly 45 minutes to an hour. Um, Feel free to chime in with any questions or answers that you may have, and let's go ahead and get this going. Um, so this week we had some plans. We're going to go ahead and do the show, do an introduction. Since we don't have everybody on the crew available all at once, we're going to go ahead and mix it in as we go through. Then we're going to go ahead and talk about some photography systems and go into further depth about it. And then we're going to wrap it up with brief little discussion about different photography techniques that you can use to improve your photography, and maybe even get an opportunity to look at a picture or two and do some critiques on that to help improve the quality of the results. So everybody knows I'm Calvin. I run by Calvin Photography. That's my photography business. For a good little while, I did Weststyle Photography with my model work. Right now, I work on portrait photography when I get the opportunity and I have the available time. But I'm always looking to be available to help people improve their photography skills. And that's why I started up this photography show, so that I can talk to other people about things that they're interested in and hopefully get people to stop worrying about the equipment that they have and work on capturing what they see is going on, whether it be the mood, the feel, the style, or anything of that nature. So you can take a cell phone, you can take a point and shoot camera. Got point and shoots like this, a little small Nikon that I have, relatively thin. You can toss it in your pockets. You can use various different cell phones. It really doesn't matter, from Android devices, Windows phones, Apple devices, anything that really catches your eye on what you want to use. And then also you can use what's called SLR cameras. They're more popular today. SLR, single lens reflex. Basically, you look through the lens that you're actually capturing the picture with. They've been popularized with the advent of the digital version of the SLR, also known as the DLSR, DSLR. And with that camera, it allows you to look through that lens, see what you want, and it's interchangeable. So you can go with something that's short and wide angle, which allows you to see a depth of field of this wide, as far as 300 and, not 360, but 180 degree view, or something with a telephoto, which makes you narrow on in your point of field, but allows you to shoot longer. Just a little visual there with my hands. How about hey, Adam, welcome back.
Hello.
All right. So that's one that's popular. We also have medium formats. You have large formats, and you also have 2/3. Different cameras that are designed to capture different styles. Also, I'm going to end out with a little technical term to give you an explanation on something as well, so that way you can have a little tidbit of information to walk away with. So, Adam, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Adam. I'm a photographer, graphic artist, painter, sculptor, anything to do to get things creative. If I want to create it, want to put it together, I just find ways to make it work. Whether it's taking a photo of portraits of family members or individual models or cars or landscapes or product photography, you name it, I probably tinkered out with it just a little bit.
All right.
So,
very cool. So what's your favorite camera to shoot with?
Good question. Because I've got an old film SLR that I've been tinkering around with lately. Been thinking about getting a roll of Ilford film to put in it, but because I had a lot of fun taking pictures, developing the film, developing prints in the lab. But I also like my Nikon DSLR. I've got a D80, little old, but does everything that I still need with it, from just regular, basically takes care of all my photography needs.
Awesome. Hey, Rachel, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing good. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what your favorite camera is to shoot with.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I shoot with a Nikon D5000, actually.
Awesome.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Cool. So how long you been shooting, Rachel?
Since 2009, actually.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any pictures that you want to show off and we can talk about today?
Well, not on my phone. I'm on my phone doing this. I can't do it on my computer right now.
No problem. Um,
Sorry.
oh, no, you're fine. How about you, Adam?
Kind of caught me off guard. Let me look through
Well, we don't have to load
online
them
real
up yet.
quick.
I just was curious because I wanted to try to include some type of visual critique that we can take a look at and say, hey, I like this about it, I like that about it, or I would change this, or I would change that. Because that's one of the beautiful things with photography is that sometimes you can look at a picture and there's ways that you can improve it, but a lot of times you capture something that you feel is perfect, but you're never going to always suit everybody to agree with what's great because it truly is art. So I can look at a picture and totally dig the dark spots that's in it, and then someone else can look at it and totally dislike the dark spots. But as long as I'm happy with the results, I can accept other people's criticisms, but I understand that I created what I wanted to create. Too often we allow other people's criticisms to tarnish what we're doing instead of looking at it as ways to either accept what we've done or to improve what we've done.
I agree with that.
So, what type of photography do you like to shoot, Rachel? You like to shoot nature, you like to do landscapes, you like to do models, you like to do portraits?
I do mainly portraits. I mean, that's mainly what I stick with.
Okay.
I do like to do sunset photography in the evening a lot more than anything, but it's very rare that I can actually get out and do that with a toddler.
Right. Very cool. Definitely understand. I started out doing model photography, and I did that for 10 years or so, and I've kind of been tailoring off and getting more into the portrait, and I've tailored that on off as well, and I kind of shoot when I get an opportunity. I've been actually doing a little traveling and doing photography as of the last couple of years, and I've been getting more enjoyment out of that. People are great, but people can stress you out at the same time.
Yes, very much so.
Yep. So we're going to go ahead and just talk a little bit about some of the technical aspects of photography. Auto on most photography cameras, whether it be your point and shoot, whether it be your cell phone camera, or even dealing with your SLR, it works really great. They've advanced the technology so that you don't have to worry about the technical aspects of creating a good, well-rounded picture. One of the great things about the manual function and starting to learn about that is that you can then change the shape and the design of the picture that you're creating by manually adjusting things. So by doing the adjustment of the shutter, doing adjustment of the aperture, technical terms, change the look and feel of the pictures. Hey Gwen, how's it going?
Doing fine, thank you.
Welcome aboard. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you like to shoot with and what your favorite subject is.
My name is Gwen Sutton. I like to shoot with a Canon camera. I started, my favorite subject was landscapes, but it's changed now to people.
Awesome. Gwen's one of my photo buddies. She's been dragging me out across the country to take pictures with her.
Awesome.
She stays in North Carolina. I stay in Texas. I know that Rachel and Adam both stay in Texas. Where's your favorite location to shoot at out? Anywhere across where you at? Anybody?
I missed it. Was that for you, Rachel?
No, we're on a hangout. We're doing a hangout on here.
Well, can I talk?
Hi, everybody. I have an interruption going on. This is going to be recorded for everybody to see later on.
Hi. Hi, Miss Gwen. Or Gwen, I'm sorry. I see you got front row
Camera's
seat.
right there.
How are you?
Camera's right there. That's me.
Yeah.
I have to look there. Hi, people.
Hello.
I thought I'd say hi before I start to do my laundry. See, he gets to sit here and play and hang out, and I have to do housework.
That's because I cracked the whip very well. So, back to the original question. Anybody would like to share what they like to shoot at around the country?
I like to shoot just about anything. I mean, I've done everything from products to landscapes to cars to models to families to
But where you want to shoot?
any place. I mean, I've taken pictures in a garage of just a few things lying around, you know, just out of boredom, but still just to practice and play around with some of the images, and even with just a regular pocket flashlight and cell phone camera light, you know, I played around with that too, just trying to see how I can make it look different from something else. So.
All right. Cool. Anybody else?
Like any place that we want to shoot ever, like in the whole world.
Yeah, where's the coolest place that you like to shoot?
I think I have a friend that is up in Seattle, and I love her photography up there. I would love to go up there and shoot with her one day. So it's gorgeous. The landscape up there is amazing.
Awesome. How about you, Gwen?
My favorite place to shoot is at the beach. I love to get the sunrise and sunsets there at the ocean. A lot of incidental photography opportunities come up that you may not expect. This past year, I was sitting up under the pier, and as people would come by and they see me with my camera, or if they had a camera they couldn't take the picture, I found it easy to communicate with them and take pictures for them. Also on the pier at night when we'd have a full moon, I could take shots of the moon like that with the Canon that I use. So yeah, the beach is one of my favorite places to shoot.
Very cool. One of my favorite places was shooting in my studio. When I had my studio, I would primarily leave the lights semi-up. So I leave the light stands up, one of the lights attached to it, but I would unplug the power cable for it. And I basically would go over there at a whim and just take random pictures of myself when I wasn't shooting pictures of people. And I felt kind of different creative because I can get in and out and do something in 20 minutes or 30 minutes because I wasn't having to break down the lights or put the lights together and put the stand in the backdrop. All that stuff was semi in a ready position. So the studio was my favorite place, which kind of was a contrast for me because when I started out photography, I shot exclusively outdoors. Didn't know what a light system was, didn't know what having a backdrop or light stands or movement. I worked strictly outdoors, so when I got that studio opportunity, I took advantage of it and I truly enjoyed it. So for me, it was in a studio. But I closed the studio and I don't set up the lights very often, so now I'm globetrotting. When I get the opportunity to get out there and actually take pictures, I'll do that. I don't bring my camera everywhere, though. I get fussed at by certain people that I should bring my camera with me, but I like to just live life sometimes, not constantly be taking pictures.
I got a set of studio lights, but I've only used them one time. I've only had them set up one time. I thought I'd talk with Willie and see if we could get them set up out in the office and see how that would work. Mm-hmm. But we just haven't had time to do that. The walls out there are white, so I wouldn't have to worry about too much color interfering or things like that.
Right.
But I found that I just haven't had time to, or taken the time to set up the studio lights and work with them.
Okay. So I actually picked up a portable power pack for my lights so that I can power them without any power sources. I need to take that out and try it. Maybe I'll bring that with us on Saturday, Rachel, and see how that works out.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have some fun. But I've lately been out to the Smoky Mountains. I've been out to the Rocky Mountains. I've been out to the West Coast. I've been up in the New York area, the New Jersey area. All of the lower states on the continental U.S. I visited. California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Louisiana. So now I'm starting to venture a little bit more. I want to get more into the Midwest. So next year I'm looking to plan on going up to Michigan, probably September, to go do some autumn pictures. So if people is interested in doing some traveling, we can start planning.
Absolutely.
Oh,
This October I'll be out at the Smoky Mountains again. Plan on visiting the waterfalls, going through the mountains again, and getting on a train and exploring. So I encourage people to explore local if you can, and broaden it as much as you can if you get the opportunity to.
Yeah, North Carolina mountains have some really good photo opportunities. Normally we go up there about mid-October when the leaves are really changing. I don't know how it's going to be this year because the weather has been a bit off. So I don't know how the colors and everything are going to transpire, but hopefully we'll maybe get up there and do some shooting and using the Cherokee Transit and go from there.
Cool. So how about you, Rachel? Do you have any future plans for photography?
Not right now. I'm really just booked with photo sessions through mid-November at this point. I don't have time to make plans for the future at the moment. So.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
How about you, Adam?
Yeah. Lately, I've been trying to go to car shows on the weekends because I haven't had the chance to get away and do a lot the past few weekends. So I'm trying to find different things to photograph that might be interesting, and so who knows?
Cool.
Might just get in our car and just go for a drive until the gas tank runs dry, and then go to that city and explore around it. So.
Okay. I encourage us Texas folks, drive around to some of the local Texas cities. Like Enos is a pretty cool little city when I drove through there. I want to go back and explore that area, but driving north to Oklahoma, I've done that as well. There's a little small park, probably 20 miles inside of Oklahoma, that's pretty cool. Pay to go into it, it's a couple dollars or something like that, but you can explore around and see different things that's going on. Don't drive till your gas run out because you might not find a gas station too quick. I know driving up on the Midwest through the plains, all the way across the West, so like the Illinois, Wisconsin, they basically say it's 300 miles between gas stations. So when you fill up, next time you see a gas station, you're probably going to be empty. So
wow.
Yeah, I try not to drive till I'm dry.
Wow.
Hey, speaking of your old studio, I found this picture.
That's awesome.
Hey, I'm gonna turn your camera off if you keep showing pictures. No, it's fine. I'm the type, I'm not in front of the camera very much, but when I do, I try to have fun with it. And something that I did last year, completely random and completely not Calvin, was I started a selfie project. And I did that just because I was starting to lose a little focus with photography, and I felt that it would be fun to do something. And knowing how I am, if I would have did it once a week or once a month, I wouldn't have completed the project because life just consumes me and I allow it to do that. So I had a better shot at completing it if I actually would have did it daily. So every day for a year, I took a picture of me, and I try not to just.
You certainly did. I said you certainly did.
I try not to do the regular pictures that everybody would do. So I try to be a little creative, a little different environment, different effects with it. And then along the way, I started to add in little anecdotes of information that I would hope people would read and not just look at the picture to help offer some perspective or thoughts or just something random. So that way it wasn't just a picture that they looked at me because I'm not a fan of being in front of the camera. You know, as much as some people felt like I was so handsome and adorable and they really appreciated me doing it, it was a struggle for me to look at myself every day because I'm not in front of the camera guy. You know, I know a couple photographer friends, you tell them get in front of the camera, boof, they're bolting to jump in front of it. Not me. I'll stand behind it. Okay, let me know when you're ready. But it was fun along the way. I got a chance to see myself grow. I got a chance to see myself change. I watched the beard grow out and watch it get cut, and I watched the hair grow about that much because it doesn't grow fast. But so I watched myself adjust and adapt, and I thought it was kind of fun to see something different every day. So what projects are you guys looking to start for yourselves, whether it be every day, once a week, or once a month?
I thought about that project too, and I tried doing that about 2 months ago, and I started off taking just one picture every 3 days. I thought once every 3 days, no big deal. All it does is just find something, take a few pictures of it, get ready to post it, done with it. 3 days later, do the same thing. And I thought, well, what am I going to photograph? Where's it going to be? Is it going to be artificially lit? Is it going to be outdoors? What time of day? So forth and so on. So I started making a list. Okay, I want to go here. I want to take a picture of this. And then just as soon as I grab my camera, get ready to go to that place, life steps in. Thought, no big deal. I'll go tomorrow. I'll go the next day. And then finally I captured that first one, work on it, process it, get ready to upload it, get ready to start it. And then the next time I took a picture, it was like a week and a half later. It's like, oh, I've got to do this more often. I've got to set more time ahead to, take pictures and not focus on everything else. Unfortunately, that seems to happen.
Yep.
And like a friend of mine got in a car accident a couple weeks ago, and before that we were just hanging out, having fun, and then all of a sudden, like, wow, didn't see that coming. All these little things that you don't really plan for just sometimes pop up. So, I'm just still taking pictures, but it's not as often. So.
Yep. I completely understand. That was my struggle as well with the everyday process, is that life will happen. And that's why I said I'm going to do it every day, because I know if I allow myself to slip a day or slip another day or slip another day, next you know, a month and pass and I didn't even get halfway through my project, much less completing it. So, yeah, life happens. I completely admit that it happens, and I'm not upset that it happens. That's why I tell people, figure out, you define what you want your project to be and how often you want to do it, and work diligently on trying to achieve it, whether it be once a month or once a week or even once a year. Find something, create it, and just run with it, and do your best to be it. If I drop off this planet today, I have one project that I know I completed successfully that I can look at in recent memory. So that's the struggle. I deal with people all the time who talk about they want to do something and they never take the time to do it. And I actually started to write a post about it because I sporadically now do my BBAS, Be Blessed, Avoid Stress post, because I sometimes feel like the inspiration that I have is just not there to share, and then other times I feel like it is. But I wanted to just basically make a post, and I'm probably going to get around to it, that basically says, life happens, find something, work to achieve it, because you never know when you're not going to be capable of doing it. It's easy to put things off to the next day, and I do it all the time. And like, oh, I'm going to take care of it tomorrow. I'm not guaranteed tomorrow. I just take advantage of the ideal that I'm going to be here tomorrow to do it. but that doesn't mean that I'm actually going to be here to do it, you know. So find something you're passionate about, find something that you enjoy, run with it. Do it, be it, live it, because you can actually do more than what you think. You know, be amazed at yourself versus being amazed at what other people are doing.
Well said.
That's very well said. Very inspirational, Calvin.
Oh, no, you're fine. I have these tools that I actually had last week that I didn't know about. I can mute people, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this is cool. I can mute people. Apparently there's a way to eject people out or something like that. I just didn't pay attention to it. I'm like, oh, you can eject people too? That's kind of interesting. But this is my growing curve with learning about the Hangouts on Air. Because that's one of the things I did a couple years ago. I've always been a Windows PC guy, and I just had a PC, second nature. So I finally decided to buy a Mac. So I bought a MacBook Pro and didn't use it. I think first 2 months it got booted up once, maybe twice. And I went to my old trusty, what I always do. So I decided to create myself a project to force myself to learn how to use the Mac. And honestly, 85 to 90% of what you do on a PC you can do on a Mac. A lot of people like to make it sound like it's different. Apple recently gave me a survey about why did I buy my Mac, and one of the surveys was questions like, did you buy a Mac to get away from viruses and hacking on Windows Microsoft? And I'm like, really? This is a question you're going to ask people? Wow. Okay, so I kind of laughed at that, but it is what it is. But I forced myself. So I went on a photo project and said for 100 days, I'm going to take pictures. And while I take these 100 days of pictures, I'm going to walk. So I get in some exercise, I get some photography, and I'm going to force myself to do every single picture through my Mac. So I was utilizing the iPhoto program to do the little tweaks and changes of the pictures, and I would output them out to Facebook at the time. And I forced myself to deal with the Mac, to learn how awesome it was to use the multi-touch trackpad on the MacBook Pro. It just blew my mind that nobody in Windows had this functionality. I can put 2 fingers and do something. I can put 4 fingers and do something different. Whoa! But that was just me giving myself a little project, and I diligently did it through October, November, December. And I had to struggle with days when it was rain, and I wasn't able to get out in the rain and do my walk. So I dibble-dabbled and did other things, but I still got my picture done, and I still played with the Apple in order to get the picture done, and I worked on continuing the project. The difference with that project versus this 365 project was I didn't tell anybody it was a project. I just simply did the pictures and posted them, and I kept it all to myself and did my little project, and I felt good because I was taking the time to learn how to do something different. Hey, Chris, welcome aboard.
Hello.
Wave. I'm waiting for your picture to come out so we can critique it.
Oh, man. I got no picture.
Nah, we wasn't going to look at doing that. We can do it in probably another 10 or 15 minutes or so. Post up the picture. I personally don't have a picture to show. I haven't taken my camera out in about a month. I got a lot of things going on. I worked about 25 days straight. So photography wasn't really my thought process. But introduce yourself, Chris. Tell us about you.
Oh, Chris, and I don't know. I shoot a lot of things. Nothing in particular. I've been shooting for years now. I don't know what else. I do have to like zone out halfway through because I have a fantasy draft I gotta attend to.
Your draft isn't done yet?
So if my head's turned this way, that's what I'm doing.
Just remember, don't pick up Peyton Manning. No, it's cool. Yeah, I've just been talking about a couple of different topics and things like that. I'm more than willing to pull up some live pictures if anybody wants, and we can start talking about those. One feature that I watched, I had a couple ladies do a post about how to make your Google Plus Hangouts on Air even better, and I spent about 15 minutes watching their video talk about it. And one of the things they had did on there, which I said I need to figure out how to do, is they had a little storyboard that was down on the bottom, like it has all of our pictures down there. Well, that was a little storyboard, and they was able to bring that up and cue it, and they took over the main picture, so you can see a topic that they was talking about before they actually talked about it. So it helps steer the conversation and guide the conversation. I like that. Totally rocks. I like that. But it requires me sitting on the computer to figure it out, which I haven't invested time to do. But that's something I'm going to learn how to do. Now, Rachel, one thing I wanted to give you a little pointer on, and this is for everybody that does Hangouts, when you're doing from the phone, if you turn the camera from the portrait mode to the landscape, you'll typically fill in how everybody else's is.
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to do with it right now because I got too much going on. It's like burning my hand. This phone is so hot right now.
Well, you need to let that sucker charge. That's what those Samsungs do to you.
And I don't have a Samsung anymore, thank you very much.
Oh, that's right. You're in the HTC world.
Yes, I am.
We're going to have to get you one of those Windows phones, HTC M8 or 1.8 or whatever they call it.
I know. I'm going to stick with the Android.
Yeah, everybody loves Android. I seen some survey the other day said that Android is 85% of the cellular phone market out there that are smartphones. I like 85%.
You know, I would like,
I like
as
that.
much as I love Android, as much as I like Android, Apple, they keep making cool apps starting with the iPhone, geared towards the iPhones first. I'm like, oh, what's that hyperlapse thing on Instagram? It's only available on Apple.
Oh, yeah.
Well, one thing that I've noticed, I have an iPad. I have an iPhone, but I never used the iPhone. It just sits up there and collects dust. I turned it off. But with the iPad Google Plus app, you're still able to go to a person's profile and click on the Hangouts button and strike up a Hangouts with them. They took that functionality away from the Android users, and I really disliked that they took that away. I liked it because I would start a Hangout with someone, and I use it for text. I don't video very often. But I would text someone. Well, if you go to the Hangouts app and start typing their name, sometimes their name doesn't show up. So it's like, so how do I strike up a conversation with someone if their name don't show up? So I like that Google, as great as they are, as everybody claim, I still look at them as being a big bad monster. But they still keep their vices separate. You know, they give Apple a little bit of something, they give Android a little bit of something, and they'll keep it about 85% the same across the platform, but they'll keep that 15% deviation to keep one side of the platform happier than the other. But I find that some apps show up on Android devices before Apple, and I find some apps show up on Apple device before they show up on Android. The dogs in the race is the Windows Phone. They created a great operating system for the phone. I personally enjoyed the usage, but that app support's just not there. You can get apps that are comparable, but you don't get apps that's the same. It's like Snapseed, Google+, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all these different apps. They should be the same experience across all the platforms, and they're typically not. And that's something that I wish that manufacturers would work on changing, because at the end of the day, why do you have your people using your product have different experiences? You know, me, I'm not necessarily a perfectionist, but I definitely would want my users to have the same experience regardless of what device they're using, because it makes it easier for me as a support to be able to help people use things. I would prefer the device agnostic approach and not the device centric approach.
It's a good point, because I don't remember what app it was, but I was going through Google Play a couple of months ago, and it was a free app, and it was something I was looking at that dealt with cars. I downloaded it. It was real small. Then I opened it up, and it has an iPhone user interface layout where it has the back buttons at the top instead of using the back buttons on the phone. And whenever I hit the menu button, it didn't really do anything. You had to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the app to go to a settings menu that looks like it was an iPhone menu. It's like, after using it for a few minutes, I just uninstalled it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, a lot of people will do that. Yep, it's good times. It's always interesting. Um, so did we guys, anybody have pictures that they wanted to show off and take a look and discuss?
No, I can't do it on my phone, so unless you went to my Google page and just pulled it off my Google, that's about all we can do.
Okay. Well, how about profile pictures? We all have one. What made you select your profile picture? Gwen spoke last week about profile pictures and basically said the profile pictures mean something about the person and the character. So, what made you select your profile picture?
It represented me. As much as I don't like to be in front of the camera, since I'm doing more people photography, I wanted to be sure that the people recognized me and could associate my pictures with me.
Anybody else?
I just picked mine because it's a good picture of me.
How about you, Adam?
I always put something other than a picture of myself on my profile pictures just to have something that's different. I'll occasionally throw up a picture of myself on there, but usually it's something I've found, or it's a picture I've taken, or it's something random. And like right now, I've got a green Android guy that I created off the Androidify app, and I just haven't changed it since.
Cool. For my main profile picture, I took a picture of me during my 365 project, and I like, oh, this looks kind of cool. I'm sitting there looking off kind of into the distance, and I'm in the car, and all the background is blurred out, so you can't tell I'm sitting in the car. And for one reason or another, I just let it sit there, and it's been my profile picture for close to a year. I took a look at it, and I was like, wow, this picture's been there for a while. Maybe I need to change it. Haven't found anything else I liked. For the Click Snap Capture profile that I have here underneath my photography page, I have 3 photography pages. This one here I created to go in reference with the community for Click Snap Capture. And I picked this one as one of the photography things that I was doing. I saw this light that was sitting down from below me. I think I had the iPhone at the time or the iPad, one of the two, but I used an app on there called Hipstamatic. And one of the filters in the Hipstamatic allows you to do a layer approach with your picture. So you can take a picture, and then you can take a second picture, and it'll layer it on there. So I took that effect with this one, and that's what I did for it. But Hipstamatic has this function in there where you can load up these different camera styles and these different camera bodies and all this stuff. Well, you can then shake your device, and it'll change up to a random setting. So you won't know what type of film it is that it's using because it's designed to mirror different film techniques. And it's also designed to mirror different lenses and camera bodies. So some of the old camera bodies are known to have light leaks that come in. So the light leaks will streak across your film, and you can get those type of effects on there. So I shook the camera, took the picture. I totally dig the dual layer of the light effect. So the main light in that picture is the solid one that's in the center, and then it ghosted with like a second layer of the light right to the right of it. And like, I totally like this one. I dig it. So after I turned around and did that, I made it the profile picture for it because it was Click, Snap, Capture. And it epitomized what I feel Click, Snap, Capture is all about. I talk too much. It's okay. Everybody's like, oh, I just like the picture. Thanks. I'm like 10 minutes later. Yeah. Okay.
I went back to that article that you spoke about that I had posted about your profile picture. And do you find that how you go out in the public and interact with people affects whether they interact with you as far as photography goes?
Yes and no for me.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Say it again?
I said for me, yes and no. I've been doing all the talking, so I'm letting someone else do it.
For me, yes, it's drastically huge sometimes. For instance, I was in Fort Worth, downtown Fort Worth, a couple of weekends ago. Just happened to have my camera and waiting on someone, and thought I'd just walk around and take a few pictures. And then I saw a guy that looked like he was homeless, and so I wanted to go take a few pictures of him, and just took 2 or 3 just real quick. And he saw what I was doing, and he was so angry that I was taking his picture. Like, this looks interesting. I didn't know that it was making anybody angry, you know. But I've also had people where they don't really care. They don't mind having their picture taken. I've even had some people in the past before where it's like a small group of people and they're all hanging out, having fun. And I was just trying to look for that picture on my computer, and it's a real energetic photo. And one of them saw me take the picture, and they came up to me and said, "Hey, can you email that to us later on? We just don't happen to have a camera with us." I'm like, sure, that's no problem at all. I got one of their email addresses and sent them a copy. So it really just depends on the person.
It seems that I'm hearing more and more frequently about photographers getting attacked or their camera gear getting stolen. Do you think it would be a good idea for self-employed photographers to have a badge made up or something like that?
That's a good point, and I've thought about that too. But sometimes when I'm out and I want to take a picture of something, I usually have some business cards with my information on it, just in case they want to contact me later on. It basically just has my name, phone number, email address, and that's it. And it just says title, and I've got a few of them that have just different pictures of things that I've taken before. And I've handed that out to a few different people, and they just look at it and go, "Oh, okay, this person is legit. They're not they're not a stalker. They're not, they're not a criminal or anything. They're just out having fun." And when I have that, I don't think I've ever run into a bad problem handing them out. But I like the idea of the badge too, just in case, maybe having that on a shirt while you're out photographing. Or
with society going in the direction it is now, and a lot of people coming up saying, "Oh, you can't take my picture," when in actuality, depending on what state you're in, as long as they're out in the public, I think it's law-abiding that you can take their picture. When you're on private property, I think that goes a little bit differently. So I think it's a good idea that, as we are out and about, to make sure of the laws and the areas that we are shooting in, whether they're public areas or private areas, so that, we don't run into certain situations. Something else, as being a female, I'm looking into when we're going into certain areas shooting that I'm not familiar with, or people are not familiar with me, if I have time in advance to just stop by the local police and let them know, okay, we're being in the area, we're shooting, and that way, because nowadays you're seeing the police are doing a lot of different things, and we don't want to be in a situation where we will find that we will have a problem.
Somebody once said the best way to go out and shoot is get you one of them orange reflexive vests and clipboard and a hard hat. Everybody think you belong there, wherever you are.
I tried to do that before.
that reminds me. I was in a mud run last year, and I saw a photographer that made up a shirt that had their company name on the back, and it had the a link to a Flickr page where everybody could go and download their pictures for free. And I thought that was interesting that people were coming up behind them and using their cell phone to take a picture of the back just to make sure that they could go and find those pictures later on for free.
Right. Yeah, I have some shirts made up for my photography. I've worn them a couple times. I get mixed results from people with my interactions. I get some people who are totally all for it. Like when I went to Mayfest back in May, I was just walking down, scouting out what I wanted to take pictures of, and just randomly shooting pictures. And I walked by one of the side entrances, and two ladies walked in like, "Oh, take my picture!" And I was like, "Okay." So I get mixed back. And I had another lady. She was like, "No, you can't take my picture." I was like, "I didn't ask to take your picture because I didn't want to, but thanks for telling me no." So I get a mixed bag of results with people. Some people are totally cool with it, you know, no problem at all. Take it here, send me a copy, let's have fun, yay. And other people are very stiff. I hear different stories from different people at venues, like going out and doing public photography at restaurants, clubs, things like that. I had one person that was doing out to do pictures for the business. They want to take pictures of the clients interacting so that way they can put on their advertisements showing people having a good time. And they said that all the women were all for it at the restaurant, and then all the guys were sitting there looking like, "I dare you to take my picture. I dare you to take my picture." And I was like, yeah, I can definitely understand how some people can respond negatively to different things. Even though the day was told in advance, they're like, "Nah, sorry, this is my look." Smile. Okay,
one way to do it is compose and just wait for it, not like necessarily have the camera on your eye, but just compose it in general area, wait for something to happen, and then what? Focus.
That right there is a technique that is highly utilized in the street photography business. People who truly are street photographers. It's real generic size now with a lot of people that they think that, oh, I went out on the street and I took pictures. No. A great street photographer shoots from the hip. Their camera never raises up to their eye. The camera is always at their side, and they take pictures because they're able to visualize and compose the image before they do it, and they have the settings and everything for it. And that is truly an art that 99% of photographers will not learn, because shooting from the hip is something that we don't do. We look through that eyepiece. We don't compose it here and manually adjust it and click. Those days are gone for most photographers because it's something that's learned from someone who's skilled at it. It's extremely difficult to pick it up on your own.
Tilt screens help on the live view, so a lot of people do it that way nowadays. That little tilt screen on the back of the...
Yeah, that's one of those new revolutionary things that they've been adding into the consumer market. Let's give them a swivel screen. Let's tilt this. Let's do that. And I kind of look at it because most people don't use it for what it's an opportunity for. You know, you're shooting up above somewhere that you can't see. Raise your arms up, tilt the screen down, and now you can see what you're going to shoot. No, they just do it strictly for looking at pictures. Flick it out, rotate it. Ooh, look at my pictures.
Taking selfies. Ooh, okay.
So I encourage people to take the time to learn the other uses of what your camera can be used for. They're great devices out the box with the standard default, but take the time to switch over to manual and start to figure out what it is. My number one tool I tell people who first start picking up a DSLR is to get you a teddy bear. If you really want to, get two. Mount your camera onto a tripod, put it in automatic mode, set your f-stop at one setting, you pick what you want, and then you adjust your shutter, take a picture, adjust it again, take a picture. And after you get done adjusting from one end to the other end, change your f-stop, repeat. This will teach you how your depth of field works. This will teach you how your shutter speed works.
So let's kick it off.
Teach you to learn how to understand the changes that you make and how they correspond to each other. how they relate to the amount of light that comes in. And that brings me to my technical term that I want to talk about for today. This term is used very loosely. It has multiple names, but it's very important. It's your aperture or your f-stop. That controls the amount of light that comes into your sensor or to your film, and it also controls the depth of field. So when you have a very large aperture, large in number, you're going to have a very great depth of field. But the amount of light that gets through will be very small, pinhole even. As that number gets smaller, your aperture starts to grow in size, and it can get very big, but your depth of field would decrease. So right here, my hand will be in focus, but my head will be out of focus if I'm shooting at a 1.8 or a 1.4 or a 1.2. That aperture means that I can focus here, and this is completely blurred. I can focus here, and this is completely blurred. So the aperture or f-stop is the same thing, but it controls the amount of light. So of course, the bigger it gets, the more light that comes through, but along with more light, you lose your depth of field. Anybody else has input to put in on that technical term, aperture or f-stop?
Oh, the aperture changes. I don't know if you mentioned it, like in two places, but crop sensors. If you have, like, say, full frame lens that's 1.4 on a crop, if you put that on a crop sensor, it's technically not a 1.4 anymore. We've got to multiply that, whatever, 1.5 crop factor ratio. So technically, the aperture changes from if you go from full frame to crop sensor.
Yep.
Science to it, but yeah.
How about you, Adam? I saw your description there with your lens. You want to go ahead and talk so the camera will focus on you, and then you can show them the difference with the aperture?
I was trying to see if it would focus on this while you were giving the discussion to see if it would show
Just pull back a little bit.
1.8 all the way down to f22.
Yep.
And how much light that goes through the image.
Yep. And that is a great example of the different f-stop and how the aperture changes inside of there. Aperture is the description of the blades with the light that's inside of it. So you can get a lens that has a fixed aperture. They're more expensive, but they allow you to, no matter how far you zoom in or out, to keep that aperture. So you can keep it at a f2.8 or a 5.4 or a 3.5, no matter how much you zoom in or out. Or the least expensive lenses, lower cost, they have a shifting f-stop. So when you're shooting at a shorter distance, like a 35 millimeter point, the f-stop will be bigger at, say, a 3.5, but then if you zoom to a 55 millimeter point, that f-stop will go to 5.6. So as you zoom in on that, you start to decrease the amount of light that comes in that's available with how wide you can shoot it. So that's something that factors into the cost of the lens, with your ability to have an aperture that is fixed. It's always going to be the same no matter where you're focused at, or something adjusts based on how close or how far you're away from shooting it. All right, so we got 5 more minutes left of this hour that we're going to go ahead and be talking. Let's go ahead and everybody give a tidbit of information of anything that they want to share. Let's start with Adam.
Okay. Probably the most important thing is, and I've been guilty of this more times than I would like to admit, you may have the camera with you, may have the batteries with you, but make sure that there is an SD card in the camera before you leave, or a CF card or a memory card of any kind. I've gone out of the house a few times, gone to a place, all ready to go, and then got to find out forgot to put it back in the camera after putting the image on the computer. Now, luckily, over the years, I've gone to places like Best Buy and Target and places like that And I'll get a bunch of these memory cards that are small, like 2 gigabytes, 4 gigabytes. 8 gigs is real small, and they'll have these on sale for $4, $5, $6. I'll just go ahead and grab one of these every now and then and throw them in my bag. I have these in my car, in my truck, my camera bag, and so no matter where I go, I've always got one now, just so I don't run into that problem of not being able to take pictures.
Awesome. How about you, Chris? What's your tidbit of information you want to leave?
Travel light. Travel light, like I think Gwen touched there earlier, getting gear stolen and whatnot. When I go out, I usually pick a lens and I stick to it. And I don't carry the whole bag. I mean, most of the times end up using maybe one thing out of the whole big old bag that you carry around. So I have a strap here. I have a lens cloth in there.
Go short on.
And then that's it. Lens strap, a camera. But if I go into a job or something, got to carry a lot of gear, yeah, you carry it. But if you're just walking around to shoot or whatever, leave all that stuff at home. Just carry your body and go for a ride.
Cool. How about you, Gwen?
One thing that I always try to remember is make sure the batteries are fully charged before you go out on a shoot. And if possible, to have a backup battery to take with you. For all of my cameras, I have more than one battery. And like Adam said, make sure you have your SD cards with you. Those are 2 very important features.
Awesome. For me, I'll leave you guys with this one little very simple tip that I'm quite sure all 3 of you guys, you actually don't carry with you. Carry your lens cap cover and your camera cover. Anytime you need to swap out lenses, or like I typically when I carry my camera, I take the lens off, I pop this on to prevent dust from getting into my camera. Very important. This cover protects the dust from getting onto the back of my lens, so that way I can have dust-free images that I take, and I don't have to spend hours in Photoshop retouching images to get out that dust that aggravated me because I was too lazy to put it on. I've actually lost one on a photo shoot because I'm Mr. Independent and I will do everything on my own without asking for help. And I was putting the cover onto the lens. It didn't set on there correctly. I strapped the new lens onto the camera, and then I went to go screw the lens cover, this piece here, onto the back of the lens, and it dropped into water. And of course, it was probably 4 feet deep, 5 feet deep. I couldn't reach down and get it, so I had to buy a replacement for it. So I encourage everyone to always carry your lens cap covers with you for detaching your lens from your camera body and keeping that dust out of your lens bag, out of your lens body and your lens itself. It's very easy for us to forget these small little details, so I keep this on my desk as a reminder that I need to always keep these with me. So I have several spares, so if I lose one, I'm not without one. Alright, so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. Got one more minute left before 8:30 comes here Central. We're going to go ahead and definitely look at doing it again next week. Probably have the same people, may have different people, but we're going to have fun. This time next week, I would like for all of us, including myself, to present a picture for us to look at and share the actual things that we like and the actual things we dislike about it, and not just says, hey, that's cool. So find something you like about it and you dislike. It's not a critique, it's just sharing your opinion, because it's nice to always hear from other people what they like and what they dislike about photography.
Yep. I guess we could just comment below and, like we did last time, but like try to coordinate something, I guess, so that way we could have a little more organized, have like certain topic that we want to shoot.
Yes. Next week, I want everybody that gets together 15 minutes to 20 minutes before the actual broadcast start. We all try to jump in and talk about the different things that we want so we can organize our flow for it.
Sounds good.
So I completely understand some of us won't be able to get there early, but do our best to. I don't mind people popping in and popping out. I want it to be a little relaxed. Ultimately, I would like to actually have it as 2 different shows, twice a week. So one show that talks about the different techniques and the styles, and basically is an interview process with a couple people, and then have another show that's going to be about critiquing different photography that we do. We all have different things that we like, so because we have different things we're going to have different things that we're going to focus in on. And I think that's going to allow us to have a better depth of appreciation for what we actually do, as well as open up some creativity options for us to do things that we normally don't do. So if we're always out shooting people, we're going to open up the doors now to doing some photography of buildings. We're always shooting landscape, well, now we're going to go ahead and dive into doing the model photography. So everybody has different interests. We're going to ramp all that up, and we're going to start to working together on improving photography, not improving camera equipment. So I want people to feel comfortable with using a cell phone or a point and shoot or anything else that they want to shoot with. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. You guys have a great one, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Nice chatting with you.
See you later.
Good evening.